Healthy Rebel Radio is sponsored by the Healthy Rebel app. 300 plus secretly healthy, delicious, mouth-watering dessert and treat recipes made with all-natural, whole food ingredients. Now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Find out more details at healthyrebel.com.
Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Deiser. I'm here with my Gaming Health Healthy Rebel co-founder, Amy Lang. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's get right into the first sleep study of the day. I can't help it. When these things come up, I have to repeat them.
Okay.
Researchers are looking at appetites with regards to people who are sleep deprived. And how is their appetite different than people who are sleeping normally? And what they found is certain hormones are released that are very similar to the hormones released when someone has the munchies from smoking marijuana.
I totally believe that. When they're overtired?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we all can relate to that.
Definitely. So they figured out why.
Because your body's trying to stay awake?
Well, no. I mean, there's probably many mental, emotional reasons around it. Like you have more time in the day to eat. There's you're not sleeping, so there's nothing to do. You're eating, that type of thing. But what they're measuring is appetite hormones, ghrelin and leptin, and are seeing what the changes are in sleep deprivation. So this is just a small study. I think it was only 14 people, but the results were really clear that there are people who were sleep deprived, and they kept them up for a few days, only let them sleep 4 hours a night, and the other group they let them sleep 7 or 8 hours a night. The people who didn't sleep well had higher ghrelin and lower leptin, which means that they had higher appetite. Okay, but also they measured endocannabinoids in the blood, which endocannabinoids are molecules that we can make in our own brain, but you can also get them from marijuana. And this specific one, I think it's 2A something, a very specific endocannabinoid, higher in people who didn't sleep well, almost identical to people who get the munchies from marijuana. Very interesting.
Right, but what's the reason that the body would do that?
That's a good question. Why is the body making that chemical?
Because it's trying to stay awake. That's what I think.
But it's already sleep deprived. Why would it want to try and stay awake?
Because you're sleep deprived and you're staying up, so it's looking for new energy, new resources, so
right.
You're not so overtired.
Because you haven't regenerated.
I think everyone can relate to being ridiculously overtired and then all of a sudden getting a craving for something.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
But the real solution would be sleep.
Right.
But I mean, anybody that works shift work, I've worked with a lot of shift workers over the years. It's really hard.
Oh, is it ever?
It's just torturous. I feel my heart just goes out to anybody that... Because a lot of these people just feel in a zombie state.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's people that adapt well. In my experience, I have not had people that have adapted well. I mean, it's just so unnatural.
Oh, is it ever? So the people who have come to you... And this is people who are doing the programs.
Yes, a lot of people that are doing the programs. And so they have to adjust their eating schedules according to what shift they're on.
Right.
So if it's 3 days a week, they're working, back shift, night shift, then they have to, it's just torture.
Oh, so difficult. And now we know that they're releasing these neurochemicals that, are very similar to munchies style neurochemicals that are released. Mm-hmm. So the body is making them.
So what I always do with these people that have these schedules is I try to get them eating as normal as possible. So if you're sleeping during the day and waking at night, as soon as you wake up, the same way you would on a regular day, you have your breakfast.
Mm-hmm. Then
3 hours later, you have your snack. Then 3 hours later, you have your lunch, no matter what the actual clock says. And that's the most success I've had, is keeping the eating schedules the same.
Yeah, I can see that being really helpful.
No matter what time the clock is, because it keeps at least their blood sugar, regular. And a lot of them say, that the reason that they usually come to my program is because they've just spent the nights just snacking on junk.
Mm-hmm.
Which I totally understand.
Well, I think that's so important when, in that case, these cravings, this appetite stimulation is going to be inevitable. And making good choices is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And what are some of the choices that you would recommend someone who is, up late at night because they have to be up?
Being on a healthy eating plan.
Mm-hmm.
And keeping the schedule. No matter what time it says on the clock. When you wake up, you have your breakfast.
Right.
Then a few hours later you have your snack. And just keeping it as pure and as clean, no matter kind of what's going on.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
And drinking lots of water.
Oh, definitely. Helpful.
Mm-hmm.
The second study is from the Telegraph this morning, and I wanted to bring this up because I think it's so interesting, and I think people will as well. They're doing studies with brain stimulation, and it's this idea that was first... Well, it's been done for a long time, but really since 2000 it's really picked up, and it's from The Matrix. Where The Matrix, The Matrix is a sci-fi movie, a cult classic, where they stimulate the person's brain and they instantly learn something. I think in his idea it was martial arts or something. Anyways, what they're doing now is they've done this study where they've taken the brain waves of pilots, and they've stimulated people's brains in the same manner. And what they found was, in a flight simulator, they were 33% better than placebo. The people who had the brain stimulation. Does that make sense?
So how is the brain being stimulated?
Electrodes.
Oh my god.
I know.
Ugh.
And they actually, after a certain number of times, they were better in a flight simulator. It's like they learned without even doing anything. Isn't that crazy?
That's interesting.
It's really interesting. It's the future of learning, really.
Oh, goodness.
That's a bold statement, but it's true. It's going to be happening. People are going to be stimulating their brain with a map.
I can think of a few people that will have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Am I on your list? I don't think so. No, but I find it incredibly interesting.
You would test it if you had access to it.
Oh, would I ever?
I know you would.
Would I ever? The main article I wanted to get to today was from a blog I read called Quartz, and it's about the writer has asked neuroscientists 5 ways or 5 rituals or 5 things that can help the brain stay in a top condition, help the brain, continue to be high functioning and good focus, good memory, all of these things. So I want to go through them and get your opinion on them. So we're talking about brain health. And in brain health, there's so many things to consider. Mental, emotional, physical brain health, like memory. So there's lots of things to consider. The first one, these are coming from neuroscientists. This is what people are saying is absolutely important for brain health. Number 1, congratulate yourself for small wins. So the idea around this is the brain doesn't know the difference between a big win and a small win. All it knows is wins feel good.
Gosh.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And more wins perpetuates feelings of happiness, less anxiety, achievement, positive motivation.
That's nice to have that acknowledgement. I think everybody that's been working in the field of life transformation or has been saying this for years. I mean, I have books from the 50s that suggest that there's no difference between, a small accomplishment and a huge accomplishment, or there's not a difference in having $5 in your pocket, like obtaining $5 or obtaining $5 million. Like, you should celebrate all the wins.
Right, the brain doesn't know any different.
No. An achievement is an achievement. That's really nice.
Yeah, it's excellent. So the brain, progress and setbacks greatly influence our emotions, and this has been studied.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, how you perceive how things are happening is going to have an influence on your emotions.
Well, you had an experience with this yesterday.
Oh, did I ever? Oh my gosh.
We try to, together, we're always trying to guide each other, but we try to get over bad things quick and try to replace it with a good spin or accepting and letting go. So yesterday, David texted me in a panic. What happened?
Oh, I had just purchased a whole set of IV supplies, and I was walking to get a coffee, and I got into the coffee shop, and one of the bags slipped out of my hand, and the most expensive IV nutrient you can buy shattered all over the floor of the coffee shop.
$50-something.
Yeah, which was...
You probably had it in your possession for, 2 minutes?
Yeah, maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, something like that. smashed it all over the floor.
Oh.
It's so frustrating, and I haven't had been upset like this in a while, but it really set me off for some reason. I think probably because I was in line for a coffee and I needed something.
Well, it's just so clear. Like, we all have wasted $50, on a bad purchase or, just a bad investment. But it was just so, that 2 minute, you had the thing, and then you smashed the thing, and you could just, it's like lighting $50-something on fire.
The coffee shop was full too. Like, you should have seen the look on my face, and it smells like sulfur. This one nutrient.
Shoot.
So it stunk, and oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed.
Oh shoot.
Oh well.
Anyway, David texted me right away, and I was like, well, you just gotta let that go.
Yeah, move on.
Move on. You weren't supposed to have that vial. It's over.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It can really, so you saying that can, obviously helped my emotional state at the time.
Right.
And helped me progress through the rest of the day in a positive way.
Right.
But these small things, they can affect your day, they can affect your mood, and in turn can affect your motivation, which can change your, your results, your success, your...
100%. Your experience from day to day.
In the Quartz article, the example they give is a productive morning routine can be used to motivate you through the rest of the day. We feel happier and encouraged as our energy levels increase, and feel anxiety or even depression as our energy levels go down. So if you're contributing positively to your mental state, even on a minor level, like, I completed my morning routine, I got a few things done that can make me feel good for the rest of the day and keep me motivated.
Yeah.
So even though it is like a mental, emotional thing from the sense of the routine, it's brain training.
100%. I mean, this is all just affirming how we live. I love it.
Yeah. The second one is related to something we spoke about yesterday, which is, exercise for people who are overweight. It's helpful for brain function. They say keep your body active. Neurologist Etienne van der Walt says keeping active is one of the best ways to improve your brain health. Specific forms of exercise have been shown to be very beneficial for brain growth. Anyways, the point is, when you exercise, you increase blood flow to the brain.
This is why I wish everybody, you don't have to go out and be a triathlete. You can just get out for a walk every single day, no matter what age, and just start where you are and go from there. I try to say that to everybody that I love. How healthy it is just to get out and go for a walk. Just move.
Everyone should be doing it. I mean...
having exercise in your day, at this point, with the research and with everything we know, should be equivalent to brushing your teeth. Yes. It's just what you do to feel good. It just is. It's money in the bank. It makes you feel good. It's healthy. It's so funny because I had this conversation with someone in my life just last week. I was saying that there's someone that I love, and they kind of come in and out of depression a bit, and I worry about their health, and they're a little overweight, and I was saying how healthy it would be if they could get out and go for a 20-minute walk even. Just starting there, because they've never exercised in their life. And the person I was talking to basically said, well, I don't know if there's much validity in exercise. And I said, what? And they were in complete denial. They said, we have this person, I know this person that lived to be 88 and they never exercised, and I know this person and they lived to be in their 80s and they smoked and never exercised, so I think it's all just bull. And I was really baffled.
I bet. Taken back by that.
I was really shocked because I just feel like at this day and age, it's like denying the internet exists.
Right.
It's just silly. And I know we all put up our own egos at certain times if we're not ready to hear certain things. But I think that everybody just has to surrender to exercise is a part of health.
Yes.
Overall. Mental, emotional, physical. Is. And I think that everybody should participate. Yeah. Daily.
I've got 2 studies in front of me right now that prove it. But I mean, this is all based on your experience, and
I know.
And experience can be a dangerous thing at times when you don't experience good very often. One good study was University of Georgia 2003. 20 minutes of exercise per day is all you need to change the brain's information processing and memory function. So it's improving memory, improving the way you take in information, and use it for your benefit and use it in a positive manner. It only takes 20 minutes of walking a day. It's not a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
The second one that they used in this article was 2014 from University of Illinois, looking at kids. When kids exercise, their attentional inhibition is improved. Attentional inhibition means that they can focus on one thing and not be distracted by things around them.
Mm-hmm.
And it just takes a little bit of exercise to actually improve that.
I think that should be the top two recommendations when a child's having any attention issues or hyperactivity issues. Should be removing, first of all, right away, removing all processed sugar, removing all food dyes, and in my opinion, of course, I'm going to say dairy, from the child's diet, married with that child needs to be physically active for an hour a day.
Yeah.
And I think you'd see a world of difference.
I absolutely agree. It's really important. Those are the fundamentals. I mean, and they're so effective.
Yes.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But attentional inhibition is key because, kids who are hyperactive or kids who are going through certain things mental, emotional wise, exercise is shown to help them keep their focus on the things that are important.
And that's how children are judged in school as a good student or a bad student.
Exactly.
Like, right.
That's the formula. That one stat.
Right.
The teacher says, "Oh, they're distracted easily." That's literally the worst feedback.
It's consistent, especially with young boys.
Mm-hmm.
So, if this can help that, help your child get through the system, the education system as it is right now.
Exactly.
Why not?
Yeah. Number 3 is stretch your brain muscles. So,
how's that?
Working your brain. We've talked about this on the show before. Working your brain is just like working a muscle.
Mm-hmm.
It gets stronger. It gets better. Especially when you're dealing with anxiety and depression. Doing active exercises actually contributes positively to a healthy brain function.
What do they suggest?
Well, in terms of they suggest doing things that are sort of outside of the norm, things that where you're accessing different areas of the brain that can be helpful in building.
Like trying different things, or
like trying different things that would be outside of what you normally do. So
starting playing chess.
Like starting playing chess, that would be a good example. The most common example in these things is learning a new language, because it takes a complete separate area of the brain. Learning an instrument, and then they say learning how to juggle. So those are 3 separate areas of the brain. One has a physical component.
You're good at this then. You're naturally good at this. You're always up to learning something.
Well,
you go through you go through phases, because I mean, I can think of just 20 things right now that you just decided you were going to do and then learned how to do it, then moved on to another thing. Like the Rubik's Cube, you wanted to do that in a minute. Mm-hmm. You went and did that. Now we're learning chess. You're building a computer right now. You obviously became bilingual. I mean, you do it all. You're good at that.
I'm interested in a whole bunch of things, and I do feel that it makes me feel good. I mean, yeah.
You're good at that.
I think it's just a natural thing for me, but it's not natural for everyone. But it's helpful to get a reminder, because so many people are, sitting around doing the same thing every day because that's the norm and that what feels comfortable.
Stay in your lane.
Exactly.
Right?
But we know that for healthy brain function, moving out of your lane occasionally in terms of learning is really, really beneficial.
I think people are embarrassed of not being good at things.
I don't fit that category.
No, I love that about you. I really admire it. I don't really care what other people think either. I've always been accused of being weird, and I've always kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because
you get pleasure from it.
That's my rebellious side. I think it's funny that people perceive me as weird, so I've never really been bothered by that. But you're really good at just humbly being like, well, I'm trying to learn this, or I'm doing this. But I see it common in relationships that I have, that people will keep things a secret they're doing, or whatever, or not try things because they're not excellent at them, which I always think is so bizarre, because the only way to become excellent is through practice. But I think there's still a big misperception in the world that you should only excel at things you're naturally inclined right away to be good at.
Yeah.
And I think it's the biggest lie holding people back.
Definitely. Well, it's uncomfortable to access these different areas of the brain when they haven't been worked in a long time, since you're in elementary school, really. When you're just forming functions in all these different areas, these areas have not been tapped, really. So it can be super uncomfortable.
And beyond uncomfortable, I think that people don't believe it can happen.
Yeah.
I think they believe that you should only do things you're naturally good at, which I think is silly.
I find it feels so good when you learn something new and you actually, master it to a certain degree, like just the basics.
Like when I got on a kick of learning the populations.
Oh my gosh.
That was so funny.
This is your total party. Your party trick is excellent.
Yeah, my party trick. Super boring.
No. Hey, ask my wife what the population of Australia is. I dare you.
Yeah, see, I should pick ones that are more... Yours are cool. Yours are building a computer, learning chess,
Populations
learning
are cool.
a new language.
Populations are important.
Mine's like, I know populations.
But see, you're working a different area, right? You're creating new memories.
Maybe I should get someone else to choose my things for me. Oh, that's funny.
You need to do what works for you, and if population memorizing is works for you, then use it. You know, you got to use what works.
That's right. I don't know why people think I'm weird.
No, me neither. I have no idea. I can't put it together.
Continue.
The next one, neuroscientist approved way of improving your brain. Sitting upright.
Wow.
Proper posture.
Is this going to be because of... Well, no, I won't guess.
That was
if it's going to be like the whole thing, like you've told me before, about proper flow from your brain.
That I think that's incredibly important, is lymphatic drainage from the brain.
Yeah.
But
or is it just going to be attention?
No, they're talking more about actually ancient history being, this closed posture is associated with weakness, and associated with lack of confidence, and that there's two or three studies that associate an upright posture with increased energy and higher mood, and increasing confidence on another study. So, in terms of keeping the brain, I don't know how they associate this with keeping the brain healthy. Anyways, keeping a healthy mindset, it can be really helpful to have good posture.
It's funny that you say that about self-confidence, because a few years back I did I don't know what you'd call it, but a class, I guess. I was asked to go in to speak to a group of high-risk teenage girls and discuss with them, certain things that they could do to make themselves feel better, build confidence, and kind of keep them on a more positive path. And one of the main things intrinsically, when I saw them all come in, every one of them was like hunched and like carrying physical shame of whatever. Like they were like the bad girls, which I could so relate to. And I thought, okay. So one of the things just off the cuff that I went into was learning how to enter a room. Changing the vibe.
Definitely.
Changing who you are, being proud of who you are. And we went through a whole thing of sitting and walking. And all those girls really enjoyed it.
Nice. I love that. Well, it's like what we talked about the other day with, how to create the vibe of a room based on your own facial expression.
For sure. And it's just such a simple thing. And obviously these girls were not ever taught it. And right away they were kind of drawn to, oh, like I'm carrying this with me. Like I can shift that.
Right.
I can walk like I'm proud. I can, and that builds.
Well, I guess this brings us back to the first example, where when you have a positive thought, it doesn't matter how big it is, it contributes positively to the brain's mental emotional function, in terms of creating more happiness, building more happy neurotransmitters. It doesn't take much. It takes a positive thought. And building self-confidence is part of that.
Yeah, for sure.
So good posture, keeping your shoulders back, your head up straight. If you're using your phone, the biggest recommendation they give is to keep your phone in front of your face. Don't look down at it.
Right.
Because that's our society's issue at the moment.
Right.
But yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
The final one is super controversial, but Quartz is a reputable blog, and these people are reputable people. This person is a senior lecturer at MIT, Tara Stewart, recommending sleeping with the phone away from your head, even if your Wi-Fi is off. Well, she didn't say even if your Wi-Fi is off. Even if your phone is off. Because it's still getting Wi-Fi signals, still getting 3G, 4G signals. We don't know the consequences yet, but what we do know is that they're happening, and that our brains are super sensitive to these signals.
I don't think it's controversial at all. I don't care what anyone has to say. I mean, part of the difference if I can sleep well or not is if someone brings an electronic into the bedroom. If you or I bring an electronic into the bedroom, my sleep is not as well. Yeah. We have our best sleeps because we have a firm rule, no electronics in the bedroom.
Definitely.
It's just part of normal sleep hygiene. I really do believe, and I think anybody causing controversy about it is just looking to nitpick. I think it's going to be one of those things that down the road it's going to be like, of course. Yeah. Just and there's no need for it. I don't care what anyone says. There's no need.
Well, the preliminary studies are coming out, and the first one they're sharing here is that 3G and 4G signals emitted from your smartphone may be preventing people from falling into deep enough sleep patterns to clear beta amyloid plaques from the brain. So we know that when you fall into a deep sleep, there's a large detox of the brain. There's like a toxin sort of dump happening when you get into a deep sleep. If you don't get deep enough, that detox does not happen. And these beta amyloids are what's being studied because those are what's present predominantly in Alzheimer's and dementia. So 3G and 4G signals may be blocking you from getting into that deep enough sleep to do the brain dump.
100%.
Gosh, that's something to really consider. Really consider. I know that a lot of people are still sleeping with their phones, devices that are connected to Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G in their room.
I know. I wish everyone would just try a couple weeks of taking them out of the room. Just the difference, David, in sleeps. Isn't it amazing? Oh,
it's amazing. I think as more and more of this information comes out, it's going to become, obviously mainstream. I mean, we're just touching on it here today, but if you're not doing it already, get your devices out of your room. It's so important. So important. Well, that's really how to, 5 tips on how to strengthen your brain. Well, in saying strengthen the brain, obviously I'm talking about promoting positivity, promoting happiness, promoting a good memory function, promoting the capacity to learn,
and I would say make positive changes.
Definitely. Well, that's Healthy Rebel Radio for today. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.
See you.
Healthy Rebel Radio is presented by the online health and wellness center, DamieHealth.com. Since 2009, Amy Lane has successfully coached thousands of women through her signature program, the Bikini Body Program. Join today to work exclusively with Amy to unveil your greatest yet to be from the inside out. Go to DamieHealth.com for more information.
Thank you for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. Please connect with us on our community pages on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all at the handle @DamieHealth. For weekly recipes, articles, and all our episodes straight to your inbox, join our newsletter at damiehealth.com. You can find all the links discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow.